Hi, I'm Ray from the Radio Workshop, back again with more memories of medium wave pirate radio from the 60s and 70s. This video isn't about one sort of particular incident or episode. I've made some notes of various little things that happened that I thought I'd just put all together. Might be of interest, might even be amusing in places. Just bits and pieces that I've thought of over the last few weeks and made a note of. Got my notes now. Yeah, first thing on my list, hiding transmitters. This I was thinking of this the other day. If you do get raided, blah blah blah, they're going to come into the house. If they've got the police with them, which sometimes they did have. I mean, we never had that much involvement really, but some people did get raided, and the police went along with the GPO blokes and sort of searched the house and goodness knows what. So this chap had this idea of hiding a transmitter. He had a fridge, under worktop type fridge. And what he did was, the back in the kitchen, I'll tell you what happened. We went in there and he said, find my transmitter. Well, we couldn't. He said, pull the fridge out. So anyway, we said, pull the fridge out. He said, well, have a look inside. We looked in the fridge. There's stuff in there. The light came on when you opened the door. Close the door. There's food and beer in there and stuff. And he said, well, put it out. We pulled the fridge out. And in the back, where you normally get the little compressor unit, and the rest of it, there was a transmitter. I mean, the bloke was balmy, but it was a brilliant idea. But he said, that's my pirate radio transmitter. It was crystal controlled on medium wave, all preset, ready to go. And he did actually get raided by the GPO. I wasn't around. He just told us this, so I don't know how much of it is true. But he got raided, and they knew it was him. They knew it was the house. They couldn't find the transmitter, and he said apparently they did actually open the fridge in case it was in there. And he said they actually opened the fridge, looked inside, and closed the fridge, and that was it. So near, but so far. That was just something that I thought of the other day. There are loads of little incidents like this. As I said, I'll try and put quite a few of them together on one video. There was another time, electricity out in the country, lampposts were good because they used to have an ordinary bulb, ordinary bayonet type bulb. So you could shin up the lamppost and plug in your cable. Then you've got mains for your transmitter. I wasn't again involved in this one, but these lads went up and did this, and that was quite successful until someone spotted it. This was at night because the problem was, the time switch only came on at night. The lamppost wasn't on in the day, so he could only transmit at night. Anyway, some dog walker spotted that the lamppost was out. Some do-gooder. Oh, I better tell the council. I'll make a note of that. And he sort of looked up, a bulb must have gone, noticed the wire, called the police, police turn up, bloke's in the bushes with his transmitter. He didn't get done for transmitting, he got done for nicking electricity from the lamppost. So that's another note on my list. I'd like to have been at that one, that must have been good fun. They said, what are you doing? He said, I'm a radio amateur, and radio amateur, my foot, he's got this huge transmitter there, pumping out music on medium wave, and all he got done for, I think he got a £5 fine or something. Slap wrist, don't steal electricity from lampposts. Good fun. I wasn't on that one, which is a shame. Look at this, a round Echo radio, round Bakelite cabinet, which is over there, model A22, rather nice, isn't it? I'm here to talk about pirate radio, not this. But I just thought I'd show you that. Rather nice, very easy to work on as well. Talking to a friend recently, and he reminded me of something that we tried out decades ago. Medium wave pirate transmitter, aerial. If the two are together, authorities see the aerial. There you are. They got the house. They've got you. They've got the transmitter. Go to court. End of subject. Right. The idea was, this is what we tried. Right, 75 ohm TV coax, the UHF stuff in the old days, because you could get the thinner VHF stuff. 100-yard drum of that, not 100 metres, didn't have metres then, 100 yards. 100-yard drum. Okay, transmitter, medium wave transmitter, match that to the 75 ohm coax, right? Make sure that that's a match there. Other end of the 100 yards, that's a lot of coax. A little matching unit to the aerial. That meant you could have your aerial 100 yards away from your transmitter, which obviously was a good thing. Lots of possibilities there. So we tried this out. We stuck a 75 ohm big fat resistor, dummy load on one end of the coax. Matching the transmitter to the coax wasn't really a problem. Your transmitter wanted to be 75 ohm output, and that's that. That wasn't a problem. All the setup worked quite well. Obviously there would be losses in the coax, but the coax was designed for UHF, for TV. So at medium wave the losses were going to be minimal. We weren't sure what would happen about like such a huge run of coax. The capacitance of the coax was going to be quite large. Anyway, we thought, let's try it, rather than try and work out stuff mathematically, which none of us were any good at, of course, and I'm still not. We thought, let's just try it. It's like, how many men does it take to dig a hole, blah, blah, blah. Well, the best way to find out is to get 3 men and go and dig the hole and time it. That way you can do it. Working it out on paper. Listen to that magpie. That's magpies fighting. Yeah, working it out on paper just wasn't something that I could ever do. So, okay, so we set the transmitter up. We ran out this 100 yards of coax. Chap's house here, where the transmitter was, ran 100. This was the funny thing. Ran 100 yards of coax all across the gardens. I don't know what the neighbours. I think they were used to him anyway. Wires everywhere. There's coax running 100 yards of it across the gardens to this other house where we put up the aerial. Matching the aerial that end was slightly more problematic because, bear in mind, this is medium wave. The aerial was far too short. We didn't have much of an earth system, so matching that was a little bit of a problem. But the whole setup worked. We put out some test signals and some music and stuff on medium wave, drove round in our cars having a listen, and it was great. It worked, good signal. No funny things, coax not getting hot and melting and nothing like that. I don't know what the SWR, well, we didn't have an SWR meter. We did it by, matching the transmitter, checking anode current, that sort of thing. And the other end, just RF sniffers, little meter RF sniffers, tuning up for maximum smoke, maximum reading on the meter of the sniffer. Anyway, and the ultimate test, of course, was driving around, see how far we were actually transmitting, see how far we could get. What I forgot to tell you, the idea was not just to separate the transmitter from the aerial by this vast 100-yard distance, but the idea was to have 2 aerials, 2 lengths of coax, opposite directions, one aerial 100 yards that way and the other aerial 100 yards that way, or that way and that way, wherever. And this is what we did. Luckily we knew some aerial riggers, the old TV aerial riggers, and they weren't sort of averse to bunging us drums of coax for the back of their van. Paid for, of course. Yeah, paid for. We all paid for it. We got receipts. I've still got the receipt somewhere. I'll find that later. No, I haven't got the receipt. It was nothing to do with me. I was an innocent bystander in all this, you understand. As with all these pirate radio shenanigans. Anyway, this worked well. The idea was that from the transmitter, from the studio, as this chap called his bedroom. Funny to have a bed in the studio, but there we are. He had a switch, a coax switch. Chonk, chonk. You could switch from the aerial that way to the aerial that way. It was all matched up and everything, all ready to go. Perfect. So, of course, the authorities turn up. They track down, look, there's a house here. This is where the signal's coming from. Then you switch it and it's up there. This was the idea, this cat and mouse thing to confuse them and the rest of it. This was used on and off for months and months, and no one ever turned up. No GPO ever turned up or anything. It was successful. The coax, by the way, wasn't left dragging across people's gardens. A team went out at night, a team of people with spades and trowels and digging things, or sneaking along, burying the coax, each way. I think I've said this before. I think most of us got more fun out of this side of it than actually having a radio transmission going out on medium wave. Having a pirate radio station was great, but the fun was aerials in the woods, digging holes, climbing trees, all this side of it, experimenting and learning. Of course, every time we built a transmitter, we were learning. Every time we put up an aerial, we were learning about matching and stuff. So good grounding for future. I was going to say pirate radio, amateur radio, but so that worked well. But to our disappointment, in some ways, the GPO never turned up. We were ready. People looking out of the windows, spies and that. Right, flick the switch, the coax switch. Chonk, we're now on that aerial. They're going down there, flick the switch, chonk, they're now on that aerial, but it never happened. I don't know what happened to the radio station in the end. I think we just the excitement had gone. You need the excitement to carry on. So we moved on to the next project. And the next project, where's my notes? Here we are. Or at least another project, oh yeah. Right, we used to go to 1 or 2 nightclubs, we were in our teens, early 20s. Go to nightclubs, and one of the lads in our group knew a guitarist in this live band. They often played at one particular nightclub live band, and they were pretty good. Obviously 60s type music. They did covers and stuff. Anyway, he used to repair the chap's amp, his guitar amp, if ever it went wrong. So he knew the chap quite well. And it's a bit of a long story. What we did was, we were all in the radio and TV sort of trade, and it wasn't difficult getting hold of an old amp. An old guitar amp, you ask around, oh yeah, I've got a scrap one or whatever. These days, valve guitar amps and that are worth a fortune. Wish I'd known, there we are, if I knew then what I know now. So, transmitter was built into I think it was a Selma, I can't remember, into this amp cabinet. Transmitter built in the back. There's plenty of room in there. We took the amp out, of course, left all the controls on the front as they were. And what it was, this chap, with all his gear he took into the club on the night they were playing, he took this in with him. We had, well, I say we, that wasn't me, someone had previously, at the back of this club, put up an aerial, okay, climbed up, I can't remember, there was a ladder that went up, a metal ladder went up this wall, and sort of over the top onto a flat roof. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, I didn't go up there. Someone went up there and put an aerial, quite a long aerial, along the top of these buildings, shops and things that were, in the road. So the chap that owned the club, he wasn't taking any notice. The lads bought their gear and set up the drum kit and their amps and stuff. And of course, this little aerial wire that came in, there were windows at the back that were blacked out, painted out. Aerial came in there, so he plugged it into he set this false amp up next to his real amp, and we were hanging around. We always got to the club early when it opened, watching them set up and stuff, and we sort of set the transmitter up. And what we did was a live broadcast of the band from the club. Probably one of the first or only live pirate broadcasts from a live band in a nightclub, and it was great. And what we did some experiments, and other people were driving around listening to the signal, and it was great. It was a bit distorted because it was so loud. Imagine a live band. We had a microphone in the transmitter cabinet, the amp cabinet, but we sorted that problem out. And the next time they played there, we'd put the word around. We'd sort of put the word around, and everyone knew that there was going to be a live band transmitting on medium wave live from the club. Now this was in the evening, so I don't know whether the GPO were around or not, but it was hugely successful. It was only a sort of 20 watt transmitter, something like that. I don't know how the GPO chaps would have found it. I don't think they bothered to work at night half the time, to be honest, any of the time. But that was good fun. and we got a lot of feedback from people, friends of friends and all that around the town. It wasn't distorted. We'd sorted all that out, and apparently people had really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was our first and last, I suppose, live pirate radio broadcast. Great fun. Several people that have watched these videos have emailed me and said, what about shortwave? Did you ever do shortwave transmissions? Yes, we did once or twice. 49 metre amateur band was about the best one. Sort of 6.2 megs. The advantage there is the aerial. It's a totally different ball game, of course, because with medium wave you're trying to get your local town and surrounding areas. People tune around on transistor radio. Oh, I like that record. They stay listening to it, and it happens to be us pirating. So that way you get your listeners and word gets around, of course. But with shortwave, 49 metre broadcast band, you're not talking about local. You're talking about people hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. Well, perhaps not thousands, but certainly hundreds of miles away. And the aerial, we used a dipole. What's a dipole? About 75 feet long, is it? Something like that, overall length, for sort of around 6 megs. So we could have a half-wave dipole, usually fed with coax. We did feed one with 300 ohm ribbon, to a balanced tuner. We learnt quite a lot about aerials and matching and all this sort of stuff. There were one or two, I remember one local pirate station, they knew nothing about aerials. Built this huge transmitter, and they got out. It was okay, but it wasn't matched to the aerial at all. They had no idea about aerials, and we were, even though I say it myself, we learnt a lot, because we were also radio amateurs. As we got into our 20s, we'd got our licenses. We were radio amateurs, actually transmitting on the HF bands on shortwave. So we were experimenting with aerials there, talking to other amateurs, so we did know about aerials. Because the difficulty then was, so the aerial was easy, and it's also not so easy to track down, because apart from the bit of ground wave you're putting out, you're not sort of all over the town, because the sky wave goes up and down miles away, so you're not going to get, you can't really do a lot of DFing until you get really close to the transmitter. Another advantage that was. But we obviously then people these days, you can get an email, give out an email address on your pirate radio station. You get reports and replies from everywhere. One of the chaps gave the address of a relative or something or other, a friend of a relative or whatever, and we did get 2 or 3 letters as the weeks went by. One, we were heard up in Norway, radio amateur if I remember rightly, and a couple down in Europe and Spain, I can't remember where. But of course that wasn't difficult. If you take the 40 metre amateur band, 7 megs, to get down to Spain, it's not exactly a big deal, is it? It's not difficult. To get up to Norway isn't, if you've got a decent half-wave dipole up at a decent height. I forget what power we ran on that transmitter. Probably something like 50 watts. I can't remember. Got an idea it was 50 watts. It wasn't sort of a huge thing that we'd actually got up to Norway. It would have been on medium wave. That's a different thing. But it was good fun. But the excitement wasn't really there. To this day, I tune around the 49 metre amateur band. Sometimes on a Sunday, have a tune around, and there are pirates. There are pirates there. But you're not going to get the sort of listeners you get on medium wave. Some sort of there's a woman in her kitchen, transistor radio on the windowsill, tunes around. She's doing the washing up. Is that sexist? No, it shouldn't. Okay, the husband is doing the washing up. That's better. Got to cover myself. Tunes around and I think, oh right, I like that record, and it's our radio station, so we get the listeners. But did a few shortwave things. Tried one at night. I remember that we tried one at night, and we did get a letter from, I forget where that was, Russia. Not Russia. Somewhere Finland, was it? I can't. Anyway, it was a long way away. No, it must have been further than that, and we were surprised at that. But of course, at night, you do a lot better on that sort of frequency anyway. I'm getting old now. I'm what, 66? I'm an old boy, an old timer. I do miss those days. Listen now on shortwave and it's just all interference and rubbish everywhere. It's so much noise and it's a waste of time. Whereas back then shortwave was relatively clear of interference. You tune around the 49 metre amateur band and that's a pirate, I know that's a pirate. And also down, was it 1.6 to 1.8 megs, around 1.7. A lot of the Dutch pirates, I think to this day, transmit there. I can't listen there, unfortunately, anymore. Too much interference. At least I can reminisce. It's great thinking back. I do sound like an old boy now, don't I? It's great thinking back, though, to those happy days. It really was great fun. I just wish that medium wave pirating would come back. I don't know, I'm not trying to incite illegal activities. Well, yes, I am. No, I'm not. I mean, it won't happen. People don't have transistor radios anymore. I mean, I restore these radios for people. This is customers. But, they don't tune around hoping to find pirates. Well, even if they wanted to, there are no pirates. Not on medium wave. I don't think it'll ever come back. What'll happen when everything goes digital, like DAB radio, and all medium wave stations close down, I don't know. I'm hoping that one or two, or perhaps one or two more than that, pirates will pop up on medium wave. Perhaps 1 or 200 in the UK. That would be good. Pirate stations all around the dial. That would be good. I'll be there listening. I mean, just listening, of course. Where is my transmitter? I've got a 400 watt linear. Actually, I haven't anymore. I got rid of it. Well, it's about 300 watt. I forget the valve. It grounded grid linear, and that, if you put what it is with grounded grid, you need quite a bit of input. Put 10 watts in, you get 100 out. Okay. Put 30 watts in, you get 300 out. Now, I'm not saying I've tried this, but it really does go. 300 odd watts. Yes. On the 49 metre amateur band. Well, I mean, not on the amateur band. What am I saying? Not on the 49 metre broadcast band. That's illegal. On the 40 metre amateur band. That's not illegal because I got a licence. Happy days. There was one other thing. There's this chap, Aerials. He said to us, I've got the ultimate aerial. Come and have a look. Went round his house. Had a look. Where is it? There's nothing. He said, well, it's there. Where? We'll look at the front of his house. Phone line up to the telegraph pole. Phone line. All right. He said, that's it. You can't use the phone line. It's connected to the phone and it's connected to the exchange. And he said, no. He said, no. It's redundant. There is no phone in the house. Right? His granny or whoever it was had lived there forever. The phone line had been there forever, but she never had a phone. And at the other end, we said, yeah, but it's connected to the exchange. He said, no, I've been up the pole and I've cut it off up there. So it was a wire from the sort of gutter of the house, right way across the road up to this pole. I don't know what sort of distance, really good distance. Okay, he'd been up the pole and disconnected that end. Great aerial. He said he'd done some tests and that. One problem. All the neighbours were saying they could hear music on their phone. You're going to make a phone call. I know, it's the Rolling Stones. What's going on? So he gave that idea up. But again, he didn't get caught with that. But that's another good one. Anyway, I'll end the video here because it's going to get boring. As I read on some forum somewhere, some chap said about my videos. Oh, good videos, but he does drone on a bit. Drone, I never forget that. That's brilliant. Drone on a bit. I drone on. It's just that I'm not passionate about the subject, but I love the old days of pirating and recording everything. It's great. I tell my wife, I say, back in the 60s we did this and we did that, and she said, yeah, that's nice. It's not in the slightest interested, but there we are. Anyway, perhaps this video hasn't been as much fun or whatever is interesting as some of the others, because it hasn't been about one particular incident, but I just thought I'd keep in touch with everyone, by getting another video out there. quite a few people have said, oh, come on, where's the next video? I've got a lot more ideas. I've got a list over there of things I want to talk about. But I get very busy on the radios, repairing and restoring radios for people. So I don't get a lot of time. And these videos do take up quite a while. Okay, that's it. I really am droning on a bit now. See you all soon. Take care. Bye.